Wow, that was a finale that delivered. One of the best I can remember, where love wins and all the women handle themselves with such grace. Let's dive into this week's finale episode and let's talk about our new Bachelorette. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Welcome back. I just want to do a little bit of light housekeeping. I'm back from my ski trip. I actually missed the live finale, but I'm here catching up and there's just so much to say. I want this video to be, shall I say, a tribute to Love, but also to Joey. I actually thought he was really, from the beginning to the end, probably one of the best bachelors we've ever had. And I know I said that about Charity, that I thought she was one of the best bachelorettes. But here's the thing, Joey's not trained. He's not a trained therapist. And yet he handled himself with such grace, with such elegance, was true to his word, and not a single of the women appears at this point to be upset with Joey. And I just think it's really a tribute to his family, to his emotional intelligence, and really handling himself with such impeccable sincerity and intentionality in his words and his actions, which just made it, again, one of the best finales I can remember. Let's dive into where I want to start is that also happy anniversary to The Bachelor. I guess it was 22 years to the date that we'd had our first Bachelor. Like, wow, where has the time gone? So I want to start, as I always do, with the family, because Joey's family was really lovely. I've been waiting the entire season for this episode. As a family psychologist myself, I want to find out, how did a person become who they are based upon their parents? Let's start with, we're all in Tulum. We meet Nick, his father, who is gay, his mother, Kathy, his sister, Carly, her husband, Zach, and Ellie. How lovely was this family? I wished we had seen a little bit more from the father, but there was like a quiet kind of sensitivity and earnestness that I felt from this man. The mother, more outspoken, so lovely. The sisters, so supportive. Who wouldn't love this family? In fact, it was Charity's season where she said that she instantly befriended Joey's sisters, and now you can see why. Joey gets his heart from his family. You can see it as they're kind of quick to tears, but also approval. And I just thought they really respect their brother and their son. And it was just lovely because there were some things that we didn't see that we've seen in some previous seasons. So let's get into the first family visit, was them meeting Daisy. Joey comes out, it's raining, he gives her an umbrella. There, you can see a little bit of trepidation with Daisy, right? She's nervous. She doesn't know what she's kind of getting into. And meeting the parents, I can imagine, is just incredibly anxiety producing. So, but all along, what's interesting to me, just looking at Joey's family, is the producers want us to believe, and I said in my last video, does he have an anxious attachment style? Like, where is this fear of abandonment coming from? Or are they really just milking the story? Because what I saw was lovely, supportive, consistent parenting and the relationship between the sisters. So I'm thinking Joey maybe is just anxious from his previous experience with Charity, where he really did believe that he was the one and felt so blindsided. So here's what's happening in attachment theory. You can be a secure person, meaning your parents were very consistent for you, very loving, but then you have a couple of really bad experiences. And I've seen this happen to my clients, where you meet someone who blindsides you, or you meet someone who is really disturbed or narcissistic or very toxic, and it completely throws you off your game. Because I've said this before, we all use what we call the golden rule: do unto others the way I would like to be done unto. But if you grew up in a normal family, you just actually presume that everybody else is loving like you are. And when you meet somebody and something goes completely awry, or you meet somebody who is so toxic, it can really throw you off. And so you appear to be more anxious, but at your core, you are a secure person. And I say the good news is then you can come back to security. And so I'm believing the latter part, that it was really more circumstantial and that Joey really is a solid guy. And so is Daisy. Okay, This is what impressed me with Daisy. When we met Daisy's family, I was very impressed with them. I couldn't discern what part of this is she's had an illness. There was some protectiveness, which made complete sense. But I think both Daisy and Kelsey also come from really good families, and they could be secure because I was really impressed with how Daisy handled the stress, right? If you've been following me, you know my analogy is we're all like tea. You don't know who someone is until you put them in hot water. And both these girls are in hot water, and so is Joey. So if we're going to see an anxious attachment style or an avoidant attachment style, it's going to come out now. And I didn't see it. Okay. Daisy is lovely. She's full on. She's in. The meeting with the sisters was completely lovely. Carly and Ellie just embrace this girl, but they're not over the top, too. They're not like gushing either. They're reserved, but asking the right questions. There's a really lovely interchange. Joey's mother is very lovely with Daisy. You know, there's that touching moment where I would be flattered if you were my mother-in-law or if you were my daughter-in-law. I just thought it was really lovely. And Daisy knows that she needs to win them over. Joey, on the other hand, is just, again, so intentional with his words. But here's what we don't see with Joey. Joey doesn't come in, and it wasn't just editing, and say, I'm so confused between this one or that one, I need your help. I'm sure he actually went to his family and said all along he knew it was Kelsey. But they are just lovely to both the women, but he doesn't look confused. He's not like Clayton saying, oh my gosh, help me decide who do you like best. He's really a confident person. He's made up his mind, and this is just a formality. So he handles his family also in a very respectful way. They're not going on about needing to protect their brother from being hurt again. It's just a real mutual respect, which I really appreciated. That went as well as it could have. Let me go to Kelsey's visit with Joey's family. Also lovely. You know, they always bring flowers. I'm sure the producers give them. But she was obviously nervous. And yet you can really see the connection with these two. What's interesting too for me on the edit here, if you look at the previous episode, we saw a little teaser and it was Joey's mom saying the way that you look at each other is different. And that was with Kelsey. So they omitted that part, but really that was something special going on there. And even though with the sisters, she didn't bowl them over and she didn't say, yes, I'm completely confident the way Daisy did, her answer really made sense, right? I want to be engaged because it's with Joey, not because I just want to be engaged. And so, of course, they want us to believe that it's Daisy, but I love the fact that Kelsey just really even brought that up with Joey. Kelsey visit with Joey's parents could not have gone better. Love the energy between the family. I'm feeling really positive about that. Now let's talk about the final dates. First, Joey with Daisy. Here's what I think Joey is doing, and he's really smart about that. If you've watched this entire season, he has dialogues with productions, even when he was in Malta and you could hear him talking, or they do the little outtakes. You see that he really is managing his own season. That is what a quintessential good bachelor does. He doesn't fall for production and really gush because he doesn't want to blindside Daisy, and that's what I so appreciate. There's real emotional sensitivity. He was hurt because he was blindsided, and he doesn't want to do that, so he's not going to lead Daisy on, and of course now Daisy is going to sense that. Joey knows what he's doing. For Daisy, this is where they're throwing things into the fire, making wishes, and Joey is intentional. He's not gushing with Daisy. He's saying, I wish for your happiness and my happiness, whatever comes out of this. And the look on Daisy's face, you could feel her heart sinking, but she knows. And she should. And so that is a really good thing. It takes somebody who's secure enough to kind of pay attention to the signals, and she is reading the signals that he is pushing out. But she says, I want to own my journey too, and I need to say that I love you. And so she does that, and it feels like that's important for her. Even though Daisy's heart is breaking, she knows that she wants to have this story for herself. Now, in contrast, We can see the differences. Of course, they can't see this, but when we see Joey and the way that he lights up when Kelsey comes into the room, the start of their date, you can just see that he is melting. The spa date, I actually really loved, and he wants to help her relax and be calm about things. But what I love is also watching these two as a couple. I've said all along, Kelsey has not skipped a beat. She is really highly sensitive and attuned. Checking in with Joey always, how is he feeling? I can't wait to meet your mother. We saw that like 2 episodes ago. Now Joey is like, oh my gosh, I can't stand having my feet massaged. Neither can I. I'm ticklish also. It's almost like a little bit painful. And she's there and she's just like holding him saying, what can I do? Can I distract you away from this? That is what a couple does. Such a beautiful message of the partnering between these two. I just thought it was really special. So now when we get to the evening portions, what I also appreciate is there's no, in the past we've seen like scrapbooks or gifts commemorating them, which always to me just feels a little bit awkward, but there was none of that. And I thought it was great. And we can see the contrast again. He is so validating to Kelsey, assuring her how special she is and how much he cares for her. You know that privately at some point he might have whispered to her, don't worry, honey, it's you. You have nothing to worry about, because we see Kelsey now relaxing. I don't just think it's from the spa or from the facial mask. She's relaxing into him. And my guess is he's given her some reassurance. And we don't see that with Daisy. Okay. All of us are just watching this. It's not going to be a shock. So now what is a shock and what I love is the friendship. The woman connection between Kelsey and Daisy is really above and beyond what we even saw with Gabby and Rachel. Like, this is a special bond with these two women. They shared a lot because Daisy got the first date. Kelsey was a little bit of a slower start, but they both had a connection and they knew that, and they didn't feel like it was competition. We get to that in the after the final rose. But I really loved. Now, Daisy had to have an influence with production because we've never seen this before. And I know they were cueing the ending saying we've never seen this ending before. On a scale of 1 to 10, it wasn't like a 9 or a 10. It was like a 4 or a 5. But I loved that Daisy said to production, maybe she said, I'm going to leave. And they said, well, what if it is you? And she said, well, if I talk to Kelsey, I'll know. And that's what she did. So production approved that. The knock on the door, they want you to think that it's Joey's room, but it's not. And what a lovely, they both like fall into each other. They're both crying. They both know that they care so deeply for one another. And I just thought it was beautiful. We haven't seen that before. They have this communication. Daisy, again, knife in the heart. She knows it's over, that Joey did give Kelsey validation, didn't give it to her. She knows what's going to happen. And she's preparing herself. She has been preparing herself, I don't know, for weeks or days, because it's hard to understand the timing of all of this. Did they go right from the ending with Rachel and overnight visits to meeting the family? I don't know the time gap here, but she's had some time to prepare for us. Now, what comes next is when the audience even gasps. We haven't seen this before. Both the women are in the limo. Again, perfection. I thought it was really beautiful. If the two women orchestrated this, I thought all the more to them. Such queens, both of them. They want to show us, those sneaky producers, right? They show us Kelsey in the limo, making us think that she's going first, which would mean she's F2, not F1. And then they show Daisy, and they're both in the limo. I just thought that was really well done. But these two women holding on to each other for support, because I've heard how lonely this experience is. You have the producers as kind of your friends, but they're not really your friends, and how you really just need the support of someone else, and how they're leaning on each other. I thought it was just perfection. Daisy gets to the final rose. Joey looks beautiful. The waves are crashing. We can barely hear anything. And she just owns that. And she talks. He's starting to talk. And she says, you're just not going to choose me. And what a gift this young woman gives to Joey, because we know he's such a sensitive man. And we see, he was talking earlier, I don't know if it was to Kelsey or to Daisy, about how heartbroken he's going to be sending someone home and how awful this experience is. And she relieves him of that. I mean, this was just such maturity. I felt like She was a quiet, confident person from the beginning. Then we saw a little bit of a regression somewhere with hometowns and fantasy suites. And now she's come back into her full power, saying, it's okay. I'm going to walk myself out. What composure. I've never actually seen that, somebody walk themselves out. It's always the lead that says, can I walk you out? And of course, there's a tearful goodbye. But she wants to go out on her own accord, and she does that. That was the whole crying and the scene that we've been cued in from the beginning. Another touching moment. Daisy has said goodbye to Joey. She goes back to the limo and hugs her friend. Wow, we haven't seen this before. What compassion. She says to Kelsey, if your mother was here looking down on you, she would be so proud. Another gut-wrenching moment. Two women supporting each other. If it's not going to be me, I want it to be you. Well done, Daisy. Such composure, maturity. I really enjoyed what I was saying. Joey composes himself. As I said, it's probably hot. He had to change his jacket or something. Comes back, and now we get to see this beautiful proposal. I loved every second of it. Talking about how she lights him up, how it's been difficult to hold back, and he stayed true to his word. He said, it's one thing to say I'm falling in love, because that's kind of what a lot of people say, but it's different to say I love you and you're the only one and you are my final rose. I loved this proposal. I loved how it wasn't about the ring. It was like a pure joy and excitement. Kelsey really does have a lovely energy about her. It's youthful and fun and vivacious, and she's just so excited and over the moon, and she can't hold back. And the two of them together is just what the show is really about. It's about finding love in the most unexpected ways and celebrating that and toasting and having champagne. And it was just really, really special. Let's get to the live audience, the after the final rose, because as you know, I was just at the Women Tell All. It's the same kind of studio setup. We have all of the Bachelor alumni there. Well, not all of them, but many Bachelor alumni. Sometimes it feels a little bit weird, like what are they doing here? Are they mic'd? Who's going to talk? Who's going to say what? We get to hear about, Kathy and Susan's podcast again. The Golden Women are there. We still don't have a golden announcement, but who's there? The important people. Kelsey's family, her dad, her brothers, and Joey's family. And that just looked like a lovely pairing. We then see Daisy. Again, impresses us. She looks gorgeous. She comes out and she's not going to be heartbroken. There's no words left unsaid because Joey did such a nice job. When women are finding that, how dare you, how did you blindside me, that would be a different level of energy, and she's not showing that. Joey did a nice job. He was sentimental the whole time. She's doing a wonderful job saying so many lovely things about him and the experience, and that she really wants him to be happy, and she wants one of her great friends to be happy too. This was amazing. Really, we haven't seen this before. This level of composure, security. That's why I'm thinking maybe all three of them are secure. Daisy, Kelsey, Joey, secure, secure, secure. Beautiful. Well done. Well done coupling. Well done friendship. Well done breakups. Overall, A+. Then we see Kelsey come out on the stage, and Joey just couldn't be more excited. They both are beaming, both talking about how lucky they feel for the experience. And this just makes for great TV. It feels genuine. You can feel the love coming through the screen, that they just seem so well matched and so happy. And that they're going to start their journey first in New Orleans and then in New York. How exciting for this couple. And I love when you start with a new location. It's kind of a fresh start, and that says something lovely that Kelsey's willing to move. Joey, I think he's still living with his sister in Baltimore or Pennsylvania. And so this is just a great start for this couple. Congrats, Kelsey and Joey. I got the feeling, though, that Kelsey's dad, he seemed a little shocked, like a little bit of the deer in the headlights. He's in this live studio audience, and I don't feel like he was completely composed in what he said. And while who knows if Kelsey's dad is going to be the Golden Bachelor, he might be on the Golden Bachelorette. We don't know. But I also loved that he said this was such a special experience that you get to see this with your child. That was just lovely. Well said. So happy for his daughter, so proud of her. You could just feel this beaming dad. And then when Kelsey and Daisy come out, they're reunited and they share this special bond. People in the past have called it trauma bonding. I'm saying it's not trauma bonding. It's when you have a shared experience. But what Kelsey says is so important. She says, this wasn't a competition. And because we're led to believe that this is a competition, and these two women just give us an example that it's not a competition. It's really not who's better, but who's the right fit. Well said. Now they're teasing us. Is it going to be Daisy as the Bachelorette? Is it going to be Maria, who's in the audience, sitting next to Lauren H., one of the sisters? And sure enough, we have Charity comes out and announces the Bachelorette. And it's Jen! I said all along I would not be mad if they chose Jen. I applaud this. I applaud ABC. Finally, our first Asian Bachelorette. We've had 3 Black Bachelorettes. The rest have been Caucasian, and now we have Asian representation. This was great. My only take on this, and people have asked me to analyze, Jen is talking a lot with her hands. She looks quite nervous. A couple of her kind of jokes, the shot clock one, didn't quite land. It felt rushed. So I've heard that Maria was offered the position of Bachelorette and she turned it down. Daisy, as we know, also turned it down, and she said that she's not quite ready, which I completely appreciate that. She's going to focus on herself. And so maybe they really just shot Jen in at the end, and that's why it doesn't feel like she has any media training, that she knew exactly what to say. She gets there eventually, right? She says that she's flattered and honored for the representation, but before that it feels just a little bit again, a little bit rushed, a little bit hurried, I'm not sure what gown I'm in. And I just felt like she wasn't prepped. So that's where I think the awkwardness kind of came from. What do we know about Jen? She's studying for her physician's assistant, which is a lot of work. I saw videos of her doing schoolwork in between. Is she ready? I don't know. She did talk last time at the Women Tell All about her family, about being raised by a single mom, about some issues with dad. But here's the thing. I always want to give the lead a chance because we didn't really get to know Jen that well, but she was fun. She came in on the go-karts. She was the one who did the surfing date. She could make a beautiful lead. We just don't know that because we didn't get to know her as well as some of the other women. But I'm always holding out for, I love when they're going and showing representation. This is so important for young women to feel like someone just like them is deserving of love on their TV screen. So I couldn't be happier about this choice. Now, of course, I would have loved to have seen Maria. So much fun. But here's what we don't know. Sometimes someone will take a break. It doesn't have to be immediate and go back to Maria. That could happen. Bachelor in Paradise at this point is put on hold. What we're going to see is next the Bachelorette, then we're going to see the Golden Bachelorette. So there's going to be lots more from me. Make sure to stay tuned. But you tell me in the comments what your favorite moment was. Now, I want to also end with a quote that Kelsey said, and I thought it was just one of the best quotes ever when she was talking about her grief and her sadness. And she said, not all of it is sadness. And she said, grief is a souvenir of love. And there's so much wisdom in that comment because it's like if you didn't love somebody, you wouldn't grieve them so much. And I get choked up just thinking about that. But how lovely that we see on national television love and grief and friendship. It's what the show's about. So I'm going to leave you with that. Don't know why I'm emotional. But my husband and I watched it together. And he got emotional too. And that's why I love the show. So let me know what your favorite moment was. And until then, till we meet again, it's a wrap.